Welcome to Shrink Wrapped. I'm Allison Colarosi here with Dr. David Colarosi, and we are not doing live stream today because it is a 4th of July weekend and we are camping in the front yard. So,
right. Okay, but so let me start this off. Can I start this off with telling a parenting story? One of my less proud moments.
Yeah.
Okay, so this weekend I'm at soccer with Enzo. Okay, and it's like a serious this camp or team or whatever. They're very intense about soccer. So he gets there, gets his water, he's all dressed, ready to go. He goes out and plays, and then I go hang out with the dads for a little bit, like I think maybe 20 minutes. And then I go, you know what? I'm just sitting here getting fat while my son's working out in this tough camp. I'm going to go for a run. So I go, I'll just go run around the park. So I go, I run in my car. I have some like gym clothes on. I go for a run. And the whole time I'm thinking, I'm a real badass for, look at how I'm using this time effectively. Well, it's hot out, and I come back, and I think I'm going to die. So I walk in, I'm dripping in sweat. It looks like I'm going to have a heat stroke. So I sit there, and I start drinking his water, and I'm guzzling his water, but I'm like, I'm going to save some water for him. Okay.
That's nice of you.
Yeah. So then he comes back, and he gets a sip of water, and then I finally regulate. And then I go to the car, I change back into the original clothes, go back out, and I'm talking with the dads. These are all, but again, pretty intense parents. And then Enzo comes back over, and he goes, Dad, way to take care of my water bottle in front of parents. And I pull him aside and I say, hey, I don't care what your deal is. You don't talk to me that way. And there's no way I'm going to help you find your water bottle that you lost. That is absolutely not how you I don't care what's going on in your life. That's not going to work. So I go back out. If you can't find your water bottle, it's on you. So then he goes back out. And then later I go, wait a second. And I walk back to the car, and I had taken his water bottle and left it in the car.
Poor kid.
And then here's the worst part about it is then I was like, well, I want to apologize to him for having stolen his water bottle, but I still believe he shouldn't have talked to me that way. So I just let it go. Is that bad parenting?
Well, I have some thoughts about our marriage in that way.
What do you mean?
Because I feel like you didn't take accountability for your action, and that is also
I'm taking accountability right now. I told you.
I also don't feel like that is a good. I feel like you showing that you can take accountability also teaches him a lesson.
There might be some truth to that. But he shouldn't talk to me that way. He also needs to not have an attitude.
You also do not always need to be right all the time.
I feel like that. Hold on, okay. I'm not sure me being right is relevant in this situation. I feel like you're bringing that in from somewhere else.
A lot of things are bubbling up right now.
Yeah. It wasn't my best moment.
You've had better, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I think I had a similar moment like that with the kids. Because I was mad that our kids broke something, but they didn't really break it. So, I freaked out. I was like, we're taking you out of every camp. You need to learn how to respect this house. And it wasn't broken.
But then you did go back and you were like, so sorry, let's go to the movies. I feel like you slide back. But
I took accountability.
Okay, you took accountability, or you let them get away with it. Their behavior, whether or not it broke, their behavior was still bad, right?
No.
For sure. What do you mean no? For sure.
Okay, they're 7. Come on. Anyway, let's talk about something else.
All right.
We got a question, so we want to address the question. So, just so you know, you can always write to, what's the address that they write to?
David Colarosi, PhD, just all one word, at Gmail.
At Gmail. And we'll answer questions, and we really appreciate those questions. So would you like to read the question or paraphrase it?
No. So this person from the UK does not want, bottom line, she's interested in how to deal with a toxic boss. So she has a boss that is, I think it seems like is starting to micromanage or just be sort of over vigilant and mean and nasty, and she
demeaning.
views a toxic
devaluing.
Boss. So how do you deal with a toxic boss? And she's looking for tips.
Well, I've had a few.
I think you have. All right, so you go first. You've had some difficult bosses.
I have. I've had a few. And I think it's important to think about what is going on with them. It probably has nothing to do with you, but it's their emotional state. And then they can use you as a punching bag, proverbial punching bag. I mean, it's crazy. I've had 3 or 4 bosses come back to me later and apologize for their behavior. I even had someone fly in and take me out to lunch to apologize. So it might be something going on with them in their current life, and you just happen to be the one working closest to them. I mean, maybe they're doing it to their family at home too. So if that brings you solace, that like it really has nothing to do with you. And when you're able to find a new job, just know that like it probably wasn't your bad performance. It probably has something to do with them. So do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I think you're right that it's probably not about you. I mean, I think it's important to think about I've never had a boss come back and apologize to me, but I do think that I have worked with a lot of bosses that are managers that are not good at their job of managing. And I think it's important for the direct report to recognize that being managed, being a manager is part of that person's role. And if they suck at it, then like you should categorize that as them sucking at their job. Like if your manager is overly critical or micromanaging or not getting the most out of you, that's in many ways their problem. And I think it's important that you're able to like put that on them. I think the other thing is important that you, like if you think about every boss that you've had where they've been difficult for you, I think that when you're able to stop and think about the dynamic, you were able to identify the itch that wasn't being scratched for them or what was bothering them, right? So like in some cases it could be a boss if you're pregnant and then they can't get pregnant, you might look at it and go, oh, well, that piece is difficult for them. Or if you're less available, if you're not working, whatever it is, 70 hours a week, and they are, then there's some anxiety about the gap in workload. And if there's all kinds of, I think your job as a direct report so that you can manage up is to figure out, well, what is it that the manager is needing or that they're not getting that's leading to the agitation? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think, okay, so my personality is so like this. And I think a couple of the times is like, I just wasn't giving my bosses the respect that they felt like they needed or they deserved.
Yes.
They would come in and I would probably be like, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, Allison, this is just a side note. This is a major problem is that Allison is just obstinate. Like if she feels like you're doing the wrong thing, I don't care if you're the president, Allison will give you the finger, but not tell you. No, she's not going to tell you that she's giving you the finger. She's just going to subtly do it. I do feel like you do not bend when your boss needs something if you think it's dumb.
If I think it's dumb, yeah.
Yeah, if you think it's dumb, they're going to have some difficulty.
But I think I'm globally a very good worker. I just feel, and I have good relationships with my bosses. I just feel like if I don't, and this would go down to like all my assessments, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm a nonconformist. So like if you want me to be a box checker, I can't do it. Like I can't do things just to check boxes. It's just not in my DNA, and so I have a hard time with that.
So that does get you into trouble with some bosses, right? Like if I'm managing Allison, I can imagine that one of the things that I might want is some administrative stuff, some boxes checked. And if you think those boxes are dumb, I can imagine that you're harder to lead.
No, I don't, like, not administrative stuff. It's like doing things for the sake of doing them, not because they add any value. I have a hard time with that. Okay. So I feel like I can do administrative stuff all day, but if it's just doing them to say we did them and not providing value to anyone, then like we need to reevaluate our processes. And especially if the person in charge of me agrees with that sentiment, like we need to reevaluate. We don't just waste our time checking boxes. But also, that's gotten me into trouble.
Yeah, I feel like you're like halfway defending. You're trying to tell me that that's not true, but then like you describe it, and it's like exactly what I'm pointing to. Like that's so. But here's the thing.
But also, I've been able to not do that anymore.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what I think is important: is it's your job as the direct report to just behave intentionally. So if you know that what your manager is requiring of you is tasks that you feel are unimportant, you have to decide: am I going to do those things or am I not? And if the answer is I'm not going to do those things, then just be okay with your manager being pissed about it, right? But your job is to look at the environment and go, okay, well, how do I want to show up here? If you just want your manager happy with you, then you should do all of that granular detail stuff that doesn't make it whatever, but you're going to make the boss happy. So I think that that's also a piece of managing up, is figuring out your boss and then tailoring your approach to solving or addressing whatever their issue is, if that's important to you, and it may not be.
And I agree with that. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
So maybe find out what your boss is needing. Like, think hard about and reflect on what your boss might be needing from you, and then see if you can do that.
Can I just say one other thing? Sorry, and then I'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
I think, just as a side note, one thing that I have seen a lot is that when bosses when a manager doesn't feel like they know how to add value from in a sophisticated way, when they can't add value as far as vision or direction, if you're kind of plug and play and they can't really support you and they're insecure about their own value add, I oftentimes see them default to the sort of nitpicky, tasky, micromanagey, administrative stuff, right? Because you can always hold somebody accountable for whatever, getting their receipts in on time. And so sometimes bosses will default to that style because they don't know how else to engage. And so the solution to that is to make your boss feel like they're valued for their thoughts, for their ideas, for their vision. And if you can support that, then your boss will lean that direction versus the stuff that really doesn't matter.
I like that. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, no, it made me think of a boss that was like that. And I feel like it was insecurity.
Can I tell you one story of a boss that I had? And I'm going to leave the numbers out, okay? But I went to the boss and I said, this is a while, maybe 10 years ago. I went to the boss and said, I think you're underpaying me. At the time I was working for myself and working for this boss. And I said, hey, I need a raise. Mm-hmm. And he said, and I said, look, I've got a PhD. I feel like I add value. And he said, you absolutely do. You do have a PhD and you worked really hard for that PhD, but the market just simply can't support, like, you're not on the market. You're not worth any more than what you're getting paid. So I ended up quitting, and within 6 months made 3 times what that guy was paying me on the market. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a really good lesson that you have to, it is not always in your manager's or your boss's best interest to be honest with you about what you're worth. Mm-hmm. And that has to come internally so that you can sort of decide how you actually want it, how you want your career to go. Like, don't give them so much control that you're just bending to their will.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope that helps. Write us back and let us know.
Yeah, or you can always leave comments. Sorry, you can always leave comments in the video.
Oh yeah, leave comments in the video and ask other questions. We're happy to help. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said that you started this off saying you told me before the start that there was a parenting lesson that you're excited about sharing.
Yeah. I decided that I want to instill a new value on all of us in our family, including you. Yeah. Okay. Consistency.
The number of lessons that Allison has that somehow comes back to me.
I love the idea of consistency all the time. And I feel like I'm really struggling because, so our son, it was having trouble reading. And so we decided to be very consistent about him reading every day for 20 minutes and then, also doing a few pages. And now he's like a very good reader. So I'm really happy about that. And because he finished his workbook, we decided that he deserved a skateboard, which he's been wanting a skateboard for so long. And so we took him there, and then immediately he gave up on the skateboard last night. And I was like so irritated about that. So I have decided that we are going to be consistent about like so many things in our lives so that we learn how to do it. What do you think?
I think it's good. I think, well, first of all, the story that wasn't told there is I took him to go get a skateboard from the skate shop, which, by the way, was a place that when I was in high school, I would have been so intimidated to go in there. Like, those were like the cool kids, a little grunt. When I was in high school, grunge, hard, and I was like a soccer player, and I would just never have felt comfortable in there. So I go in there, and these are like freaking kids. Like, it was like a weird moment for me because like that group of people when I was in high school was just like a crowd of people I didn't hang out with, and then you go in there and they're like I was just like, oh my god, you guys are like, you guys are just like snot nosed kids. Like they were so nice, they were so like just regular, and it was an interesting moment for me. Anyway, so I got Enzo a skateboard, which is shockingly expensive from like a real skate shop.
You weren't ready to.
And then I go and I'm like, well, I feel like I need a skateboard too, right? So I bought one. So
He did not get me one.
They were so expensive.
Did you just hear that?
Okay, but his was more expensive than I thought.
Okay.
And then I was like, well, I feel like I should, like a good dad, right, would be like, I grew up, and my father, whatever I was interested in, I don't care if it was soccer, cycling, archery, whatever it is, he'll do it with me. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to do that for Enzo. So I was like, okay, well, I need to get one. And then I was like, I knew that you would want one too. And I was going like, this is going to turn into a very expensive thing. So I will, if you want one, I will absolutely get you one. But anyway, got super cool skateboards. And then, yeah, we put it out there, and then my blood pressure's through the roof because he's like, so he gets so frustrated. Yeah.
So I think we just go out there and we be consistent every day, just like, because he got better after that.
Yeah. So Allison is like my reaction to him getting frustrated is I just get pissed and just want to like disassociate. And we're like in the military. You're like, okay, fine, this is hard, huh? Okay, well, we're doing it 20 minutes a day for the rest of your life. Which I think it's such a good quality that you have that I don't have, which I think is very good.
Thank you.
So this morning I got up and I'm like moping around, or putzing around, make coffee. Allison's already worked out, right? Not just one class, 2 classes. Then she I guess like it's like 8:30 in the morning. She just like punts the front door in. Okay, everybody, here's what we're doing today. We're going to the elementary school to practice skateboarding, and then after you do your reading, and then we're going to do a little bit of math, and then we're going. And it's like, oh my god, like the drill sergeant is here. It's not far from that.
Okay, so I realize that because like I also, yeah. I like to accomplish things throughout the day. Yes. I think I like to like, I'm accomplishment oriented, I think. Like, of things I want to do and also my family to do. But sometimes I wish I was just not like that.
Like, I would be totally happy to spend the entire day on the couch, just eating chips and watching TV. I'd be happy in that life. But that is not the life that I've.
You did not marry that.
I did not. I for sure did not marry that.
But sometimes I irritate myself.
Yeah.
So we going skateboarding now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do want to close out before we close out with life hacks. So I have a new life hack.
Oh, I have not thought about any life hacks.
Well,
okay.
I'll go with mine and then you do, because I think we have to do life hacks at the end of everyone.
Okay.
Okay, so I run a women's leadership group, and I also, so that I could learn new life hacks, make that the top of our call too. And so one woman, this came from her husband actually, because she doesn't cook. And you know what? It's shocking how many, like I've been in so many situations with women leaders that only their husbands cook and they don't cook. They're like, I don't really know. Like, my husband's a great cook. I do the dishes. And I'm like, how did that happen? Like, I didn't get that.
What do you mean you didn't get that?
You're not like the main cook, the main grocery shopper. You are not.
I'm not the main grocery shopper. I would say that we cook 50-50 and I do 99% of the dishes.
Okay.
I did all the dishes are done. Did you want to how they got
your nose is literally growing. What's up, Pinocchio?
No. Do you notice that all the dishes are clean in the kitchen?
Yes, thank you. Okay.
While you were working out?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so here is the life hack from her husband, that if you want to preheat the oven and you want it to go fast, you put it on broil for a few minutes, and it preheats your oven faster. That's a good one.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then so after I did that, I told my team that, and 3 of them used that life hack. They told me about it.
I thought of one.
Okay.
Well, I was saying that I thought these had to be deeper, but if they're like little life hacks. So I went to the dentist. So I did not go to the dentist for like 2 years during the pandemic.
I cannot believe you're advertising that.
Allison calls me from the dentist because she goes, I think, like twice a week. And she calls me and she's like, I'm at the dentist and it has been 2 years since you've been to the dentist.
I think they told me
during
3.
COVID.
They told me
2
3.
years. It was during COVID. I went right before the pandemic. Anyway, and she's like, your teeth are going to fall out. You're disgusting. I can't believe I've ever kissed you. So I go into the dentist and I'm thinking this is going to be just a disaster. And he was like, your teeth look really good for having not come in here at all. Your gums look good. Part of it is that I use a Sonicare, so that's hack 1.
Okay, but why do you use the Sonicare? You should tell everyone. I was worried his teeth were going to fall out.
So anyway, Allison
bought him a Sonicare, and he yelled at me about it. He's like, "That is so expensive," and I was like, "I'm worried your teeth are going to fall out of your head, which would be a lot more money."
So anyway, I have an expensive toothbrush, and this is the hack: is in my car, I have flossers, and so whenever I'm driving around, I'm like just like bored driving, I floss. So I feel like I floss like twice a day at least. I think that's the why my teeth didn't fall out.
That is a good hack, but the other hack about those things is that you just have those flossers flying free, like they're loose leaf. It's
Okay,
really
all right.
gross.
You could tailor this hack however you want. You could even throw away the flossers, which I don't do a great job.
You should get one of those like in-car trash cans.
You should get one of those in-car trash cans.
Agreed.
Like your car is clean.
No. Anyway.
All right. Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next
leave
week.
comments below, or you can write me to my email, davidcolarosi, PhD@gmail.com.
And we're always looking for good life hacks. So if you have them, please send them in.
Yeah. So we're gonna try and upload. We're gonna do this one, and then I think we're gonna try to upload Sundays at 5:00, or do live streams at Sunday at 5:00. One of the two for now.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go
All right.
skateboard.